One of the most fascinating questions that I've been asking myself lately is like, what happens if I take this away? What happens when I take away that component of that thing? Does that thing still be that thing? So I apply this towards a car, right? What happens when you take away the wheels of a car? Is a car still a car? Well, it's still a car, but without wheels. What happens when you take the engine away from a car? Is it still a car? Well, it is a car just without an engine. Will the car function? No, but it's still a car. Now, in the same way, what if attraction is actually a system of components? It's not this one specific thing. Often, physical appearance is attributed to attraction, but attraction is also attributed to two different poles connected, being drawn together, right? That's actually what attraction means. It means to like pull towards one another. And it can be attributed to a few other things, right? Now, what happens if you take away certain parts of attraction? What happens if you take away physical appearance, right? Is it still attraction? And then when you take away a certain and vital component of attraction, the attraction probably won't function, just like the car. So the attraction is still there, it's just not functioning. A bit like how a relationship fails. A bit like how a romantic interest shows no interest in you. Kind of like how you would like to approach someone if you were interested in doing that. And then you fail, you fumble in it, conversing with that person. It's like, well, you are conversing, but it's just terrible. It's like, blah, blah. It's like, oh, I was considering going to a club tonight, and that is something I normally never, ever do. But I was curious and interested in going, and I'm not even sure why exactly I wanted to go. I think it was like a desire to have some alcohol, which I don't normally like go out of my way for, but maybe I could have a little bit of alcohol because I got a little bit of money and I just wouldn't mind having a little bit because I don't normally have alcohol. Actually, the real reason I wanted to go to the club tonight actually was because there was someone who I care about very much who attended one of these places. And it got me thinking, because I don't usually go to these places. I was just sitting down for a long time, and I was told you shouldn't be sitting down the whole time while you're in the club. And I'm like thinking to myself, if I'm not supposed to be sitting down, obviously I'm introverted, obviously I am not familiar with the place. It's not the vibe I am attuned to. But I thought to myself, I know how to dress up well. I know how to converse. I know how to have deep conversations. But I just don't really desire to necessarily attract anyone there. I've asked people on the internet why the hell they go, and they all just say, oh, to have a good time. Well, that's the thing I'm trying to figure out. Like, what exactly is the good time? I've been to church. I have been to, churches, let's put it that way. And one could ask the same thing. Why do you go to the church? What's the vibe here? I'm just not digging it, right? And for me, if I had to answer that question, well, you go there to learn, you go there to worship, right? You go to the church to learn, you go to the church to worship. Now, it kind of really has to dig into your taste. And normally, if you're a devout Christian, you would attend weekly, if possible, because this is the nature of worship. This is the nature of keeping in mind proper Christian habits. And so you would attend, you would go, and you would carry out your worship, you would carry out your learnings, and you would converse with other fellow Christians. Depending on your denomination, right? My denomination is a bit more peculiar. And so it's like the club, even though it's a completely different vibe, I'm thinking it's the same thing in conversing with people. In the reason for attendance is so much more vigorous. Now, even in church, I typically do not want to converse with other members of the church. I actually don't really enjoy it. As soon as like the Passover is done, I just want to zoom straight out the door. And then someone is going to come up to me and is like, hey, and I'm just like, oh my effing God. And I'm like, even if I was to go to a club to somehow enjoy drinking, to somehow enjoy myself, to somehow converse with someone of the opposite sex, and somehow they'd be attracted to me, and somehow I probably wouldn't be interested per se because I have high standards, in the sense like, do I really want to go taking you on a magic carpet ride somewhere? I only do that to very peculiar princesses, like I don't just hand out princess treatment, you know what I'm saying, to just anyone. And so I'm like, I still have this feeling, this desire to go, but the conversing with the people, I just don't know if I'm digging it. And this whole people thing about conversing, friends. Growing up, I didn't have a lot of friends. Not really. And there was always this thing in the back of my mind growing up a long time that in order to be seen, in order to be valued, in order to be successful, I needed to have friends. I needed to have as many friends as possible. And if I could mention or bring up that I have friends, then it would make me seem valuable. But that's not really true. As I'm coming to discover more and more now, much of more recently, that is not true. What is truly valuable is having one to a few at the most best friends. I don't necessarily have that yet, but that is much more desirable than having that status, having that, oh, I got this friend here, I got that friend there. This is where I met this lesbian friend of mine in the past. It's like, that's off-putting, especially to someone who you give princess treatment to. It's off-putting. They don't want to hear that. I can actually think of one of my own brothers who thinks that having friends is like, wow, it's like my friends. But that's a story for another day, and it's not something that we're going to handle in this video. But this number of friends, or even just having, oh, I have friends, the mere fact that you bring them up in that way tells me that friendship, it's not really valued. What you really value is to be recognized, to be seen, to be validated. And that's not what I want, especially not anymore. I don't want to go to a church and talk with those people. I don't really want to make friends. I mean, if I'm being honest, I do sit around at home a lot, either reading or being on my phone too much, wasting time in my own spare time, or I'll be reading books, or I'll be researching stuff, or I'll be trying to build a business. But I actually really like being alone. I like conversing with people about deep things, but only people I really care about more than others. I don't really feel the need, actually, to go out of my way, not even on Tinder, to try to attract someone who I'm just not really in alignment with. I feel like I've transcended this idea, this need for some type of companionship with someone I'm not really interested in, whom I don't know yet. If I'm going to converse with someone on a deep level and have this relationship, a dream relationship perhaps you could say, it's going to be someone who I'm close with in real life, and they'll come to me on their own accord, and it will be a gradual development. It's not going to be this rushed thing. Because even if I was, or even if you were, to go to a church or a club and meet someone, there is no way in hell that you're going to have a great relationship with that person in just a fluking moment. It actually takes a long time.